Hi everyone, so today I'm going to just show you how to make a face mask because there's just been a huge need for them at the moment. So there are a lot of pros and cons to using the mask. I'm not going to get into it. It is a personal decision. So if you've done research and you feel that this would be good protection for you, then here are the instructions to make it. I suggest that you use a cotton woven fabric where it's actually tightly woven together. I have two pieces of fabric that I cut with 9 inches by 6 inches, so two of them. And I have two pieces of elastic that are 6.5 inches each. If you do not have elastic, you can just use fabric to make ties or even elastic band that you use on your hair to tie your hair up. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can hand sew it. There isn't a lot of sewing, basically just to go around your piece of fabric. So if you're going to hand sew, that is also perfect. But just for time constraints, I'm going to use my sewing machine. So you're going to start off by taking your fabric and you're going to put the right side facing up. So the right side is the pretty side of the fabric, the side that you want to be shown. So this is the right side of my fabric. So I'm placing this down. Then I'm going to take the right side of the other piece of fabric and I'm going to have this facing down. So basically the right sides of each of your fabrics are placed together. So this is the wrong side and the wrong side because the right sides are facing together. Okay, now what I'm going to do is using my sewing machine, so if I can just move this closer. Okay, using my sewing machine, I'm going to start off on the longer side, but I'm going to start off just halfway through. I'm going to put my foot pedal down, and I am going to just use a straight stitch. And I'm going to sew almost to the end. Okay, and before I get right to the end, I'm going to stop and I'm going to take just the corner of my elastic and I'm going to fit it in at an angle. Okay, so just the corner of my elastic is here. So I'm going to let the stitches catch onto the elastic just so I can hold it on. So the elastic is sandwiched between the right sides of both fabric. Okay, so I made sure that I have that elastic in nice and tight. Okay, now I'm going to rotate my fabric just so I can carry on sewing through this way. So make sure your elastic is not in the way so that you're not going to sew it into these pieces. And now I'm going to just sew a straight stitch, stopping just before I get to the other end. Okay, here again, I stopped just before I got to the end. Now I'm going to find that elastic, straighten it out, and I'm going to take the other corner of it and I'm going to lodge it in towards the edge here again. Okay, I got that in and now I'm going to carry on sewing. Okay, you can just carry on. This one is the easiest because you just sew straight and then before you get to the top, to the end, you just stop again. Okay, now I'm going going to take my next piece of elastic and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Slot it in at an angle. Now I can sew straight. I have tried a few patterns for moss and I found that this one was actually the most beneficial one, as well as the one that actually comes together quite easy and it looks nice in the end. Okay, so that is in as well. So now I'm going to carry on sewing straight, and here's where I sewed my stitch halfway. So I'm going to leave about quite a big space, about this size, just so that I can turn my fabric the right side way when I'm done. So don't close off right to the end, leave a gap. Okay, so now I can flip it through this little hole. So I'm going to open up the little hole and then I'm going to turn my fabric around. Okay, so now it should look like this. It is not done as yet. We still have to close off this hole, but I'm just going to fold the hole in neatly like this, and I'm going to put in a pin. If you don't have a pin, it's fine. You can just sew that in with the hand stitch later. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, so let me just put the camera somewhere where you can see it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to put in 3 pleats around this corner. So I'm going to do that by folding my fabric and then folding it back up like this. Okay, and then I'm also going to use pins. You can use clips or pegs or whatever, but just to hold it in. Okay, with this step I do have to sometimes redo it just to make it sit well, because there's no actual rule to it. But let's just hope it comes correct the first time. Okay, now I'm going to do another fold. And then the last fold. Okay, now basically all that's left to do is take my sewing machine and sew all along around the edges. Remember not to sew over your elastic or over your pins as you go. it is time to close off this little gap that we left in when we were flipping it the right side. So I'm just going to make sure that it's all folded in nicely and securely. And now we can do the last home stretch. You could go through it twice if you want it to be extra secure, but I've just always done it once and I haven't had any problems with it. I've used it to the supermarket as well, and I've made some for my dad and other family members. So personally, I like to use them, and I think that they do have benefits, but a lot of people will argue with me. Okay, so here it is, and it fits quite nicely. It keeps out a lot of the germs, as you can see, because it's close to your face. And yeah, so if you want to make one, go ahead and make it and send me some pictures. Thank you for watching, and keep safe and happy.